नंद घरा नंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल की, हाथी घोड़ा पाल की जय कन्हैया लाल की. Wishing you all a very happy Janmashtami 2023. And this video is going to be extremely special because in this video I am going to clarify a lot of crucial doubts regarding Janmashtami Maha Festival 2023. Hare Krishna everyone. I'm Kavya Budhiraja and welcome back to Being Krishna Conscious. So without any further delay, let's begin with this video. Hare Hare Bol! One of the major doubts that people are facing right now is, when is Janmashtami? Is it falling on the 6th of September 2023 or 7th? Well, Janmashtami this year is being celebrated on the 7th of September. Now the second doubt, why is it called Janmashtami? Well, Janm to mere mortals ka hota hai na. Only those people who are living in this material bodies, only they take birth. Krishna, on the other hand, because he's our supreme Pita, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. He, on the other hand, does not take birth. He appears and he disappears. In Hindi, what we call as उनका प्राकट्य होता है और वे वापस अपने धाम भी चले जाते हैं. So we have to understand that there is a distinction between mere mortals like all of us, because it is only our material bodies which take birth and which die. It is not our soul. So that Param soul, that Param Pita, who's our supreme soul, how can he take birth? So although we call it as Janmashtami, but in the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, that my appearance and my activities, both of them are transcendental. So another lesson for us is to differentiate between mere mortals and that personality who is beyond this material conception of life, who is our supreme father, Shri Krishna. Now moving on to the third segment of this video, which is how to celebrate this Pavan Avsar of Janmashtami. We all are so excited that finally Janmashtami is here, but what are the practical steps that we can take? So now let me share with you some of the practical tips that we all can do in order to make our Janmashtami divine success. Tip number 1, wake up early in the Brahma Muhurta. Now Brahma Muhurta is basically 1.5 hours prior to the sunrise. So wake up during that time, take full-fledged bath and attend Mangala Aarti. Now Mangala Aarti signifies Mangal. It signifies auspiciousness. So on the day of Janmashtami, which I believe is one of the most important days for any spiritual person in the entire calendar year, so if not on any other day, then at least on the most auspicious day of Janmashtami, one should start this day by attending the most auspicious Aarti, which in Hindi is called the Mangala Aarti. So it generally begins around 4:30 am. So we must try to plan the time of our waking up according to that. Tip number 2, observe fasting. Yes, fasting in Hindi is called Upavas. Vas means to reside, kahin rehna, and Up means paas mein, to reside close. So Upavas means that you're observing some sort of austerity so that you reside closer to whom? To Shri Krishna. So Upavas is very important. And while it's fasting for the body, on the other hand, it is feasting for the soul. Because on the day of Janmashtami, we must try to engage all our senses in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. We should try to minimize our bodily needs and try to have the diet of the soul. Now for all those people who have actually gone through one of my previous videos in which I talked about the diet of soul, which is Harinam Sankirtan, those people would be able to appreciate this fact a lot better, that the soul demands its food, and the food for the soul is Harinam Sankirtan. Which brings me to my tip number 3, which is chant, 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 chant the holy name. Keep chanting as much as possible, because whenever there is an Avirbhav Divas of any personality, for example, if it's my birthday, then I would be very happy on that day, and whatever you might ask me, it would be very hard for me to say no to you. So if you are chanting a lot, especially on the day of Janmashtami, which is the appearance day of that supreme God, Krishna will be more merciful upon all of us. So let's take a lot of benefit of this beautiful principle of the Avirbhav day of Lord Shri Krishna. So this was our tip number 3. Tip number 4, hear and read the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada, on the day of Janmashtami, he used to get all of his disciples together and they used to recite the Krishna book for hours and hours. Now, Krishna book is basically a beautiful compilation of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in which all the beautiful leelas of Lord Shri Krishna have been summarized. So on this day of Janmashtami, make sure to at least read the initial chapters of the Krishna book. Why? Because in those initial chapters, the advent of Lord Shri Krishna has been beautifully described. How Shri Krishna appeared in the prison house before Devaki Mata and Vasudev ji, and all of those beautiful pastimes have been beautifully enumerated in the Krishna book. Tip number 5 is to practically render devotional service unto the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna and Srimati Radharani. See, serving someone practically, it makes your bond even stronger. So what to say of that Supreme Lord who is already so merciful upon us and who is giving us this gift of human form of life in which we can serve him to the best of our ability. So on the day of Janmashtami, try to render some practical service to Lord Shri Krishna. And the best way to do that is to physically go to the temple and do certain practical seva. However, if due to some or the other reason you are not really able to physically go to the temple to have darshans of the deity or to render practical service, or there is some other issue wherein you are not in a position to visit any temple, then in that case you should try to give service to Shri Krishna while sitting at home. And those services could include decorating your temple, decorating your deities, preparing bhoga items, preparing all those other arrangements for the comfort of their lordships. So these are certain practical services that we must try to do, especially on the day of Janmashtami. Now our tip number 6 is that do attend the Abhishek of Lord Shri Krishna. Now this Maha Abhishek usually happens around 10:30 to 11 p.m., which is at night. So we should try to attend that Abhishek. And again, if it is not possible for us to visit any temple, then we should try to do this Abhishek at home. And also, for all those people who would be visiting the temple to attend this Maha Abhishek of the Lord, do not worry, you can perform the Abhishek of your home deities as well, either one day prior or one day later of Janmashtami. That seva would also be accepted by their lordships very lovingly. Our tip number 7 is that engage other people also in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. While it's very good that you are engaging yourself in the service of Lord Shri Krishna will be pleased even more if you also engage your friends and family members into performing unalloyed devotional service for the pleasure of Lord Shri Krishna. So try to engage your friends and family members into Krishna Bhakti as much as possible, and the best day to do that is Shri Krishna Janmashtami. Now coming to our final tip, our tip number 8, which is the most important tip of this video. Shri Krishna never accepted 56 bhogas given to him by Duryodhan. On the other hand, he accepted the peels of banana given to him by Vidurani, the wife of Vidur. Why did Krishna do that? Why did Krishna reject the luxurious 56 bhogas and instead accepted the peels of banana? Because Krishna is known as Bhavagrahi. He accepts anything and everything which is offered to him with love and devotion. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhakti uparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. I accept even a leaf, flower, fruit or water, toyam, if it is given to me with love and devotion. And that is why Shri Krishna is known as Bhavagrahi. He only sees the bhav of the bhakta. And that is why he is also Bhakta Vatsala. In the Bhagavad Gita he says, Kaunteya pratijani hi na me bhaktya pranashyati. Hey Kunti Putra, hey Arjun, proclaim it boldly to the entire world that my devotee never perishes. And as I'm saying this, I'm actually getting goosebumps right now, because the promises, the assurance that Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita, that is more than anything that anyone can ask for. That supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita mentions, Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. He says that all the living entities are my part and parcels. He never says that only humans are my part and parcels, that only human beings or maybe some other species, they are my part and parcels. He says that every living entity is my part and parcel. So, not only us, but also these jivas, these animals, all of us are part and parcels of the Supreme. And one of the primary realizations that we get once we start treading on this path of Krishna Bhakti is that we start to see Krishna in each and every body. That Supreme Paramatma who is residing in my heart, because in the Bhagavad Gita he says, Hriday Sannivishto, that Supreme Lord who is in my heart, that same personality is also residing in the very heart of this Jiva who is sitting right beside me. So, one of the primary things that we all get as a gift, as a realization in this spirituality, is that we start to look at things as they are. We do not draw artificial barriers, but we start to appreciate this whole nature, our surroundings, that Krishna has most mercifully given to all of us. So, on this most auspicious day of Janmashtami, let us show our gratitude to Lord Shri Krishna. Let us show how much we appreciate and how much we value that Krishna mercifully left his Golok Dham and descended on this earth just to cut our karmas, just to cut that strong bandhan that we have created by our own selves in this material world, and ultimately to take us back home, back to Godhead. So I hope that this Janmashtami may it bring a lot of auspiciousness, may it bring a lot of Krishna Bhakti into our life, which our soul is craving for since millions and millions of lifetimes. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.